makeup. What's going on? Here I am in this abandoned closed store again for season 3 of Vinyl Happy Hour, episode 3. I almost held up to 3. So yeah, Culture Shock's still closed, but we are still bringing in lots of vinyl. Luckily, we've got some lovely people out there, you, who have been still getting orders from our boutique and our record store, picking them up curbside or finding them on our website. We've been shipping them out. We've got some killer vinyl to show off tonight. Of course, Vinyl Happy Hour, I'd like to know if you've been watching the episode since we rebooted this season a little late. We're calling it season 3 and a third. Drop us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Also, I'd like to know if you're watching right now. Drop us a comment. We've got Lauren over here behind the cameras and phones checking it out. And we're going to be posting links to some of the records we talk about tonight, too, because during this COVID experience, we've also launched our first ever website, cultureshockshop.com, and we are working, well, I am anyway, but trying to get all of these records put onto the website. So please feel free to shoot us some messages if you have questions or if you're looking for any records. We've got several thousand records already up on our website, so I'd love for you to check those out. I know you need some quarantines during all of this. But for Vinyl Happy Hour, if you haven't been seeing previous episodes, we are doing this usually here live in Culture Shock every Thursday night at 8 p.m. And we're featuring a lot of new releases and new drops and special limited runs of records because on Fridays are new release days. And we are still getting in new releases every Friday too. The other thing about Vinyl Happy Hour is we kind of like to take a little in-depth look at the packaging and stories behind some of the records. This is for people who find vinyl intoxicating, as I do. I'm compulsively obsessed with it, and I love listening to records and just finding out more about them, and constantly building my collection and bringing in interesting record releases and stuff here into the store as well. So it is a Vinyl Happy Hour. Let's get started with a little drink first. Tonight, we've got, I just cracked this open last week. It looks like a little bit of it's already missing, but this is some Knob Creek bourbon. I'm a big bourbon enthusiast. That's usually my choice drink. What's great about it is I like to just drink it neat, pour it in a glass. If it's a little cool, that's better. And don't need to make a cocktail or mix anything. Just enjoy a little sipping action. Knob Creek is a really great bourbon. It's also pretty affordable. It's a true Kentucky bourbon. There in Knob Creek, they use the waters that flow out of there to mix in with their corn batch and everything else for the purest bourbon. It's not really peppery, but it has a nice little spice to it. A little bit of sweetness, which is what I like in a bourbon too. I love the way they package it too. They had a big-ass thick chunk of wax sealing this one. It took me 5 minutes to probably get it open, but as you can see, the wax seal's all busted open and broken now. So it was nice and tight. We probably had it sitting around for a year or more. The other great thing about bourbon is it has a great shelf life. So it can last for years or indefinitely, especially sealed. So no worries about that, but once you open it and get it going, keep it going. Lauren, you've got some too, right? So let us know what you're drinking at home too. If you've been ordering out and getting cocktails from some of the restaurants to go, or if you've got a bourbon, a whiskey, or other cocktail or something you want to suggest for us, I'd love to try something new, especially some of these like independent distilleries and breweries doing all kinds of crazy things. Speaking of crazy things, one of my first records here tonight, this actually came out digitally, I think, last year, but on vinyl finally, the Acacia strain. Very brutal, heavy band. I'm going to get a little bit of slack from this because at first I actually didn't like it. I thought I didn't like it. It's changed a little bit from some of their earlier albums. I think they have a different guitarist as well. I haven't kept up with them. It's probably, I don't know, their 8th album or 9th. It's good, though. It's heavy. It's different. It's slower. It's still what we would call brutal. It may not bring quite the mosh that it used to, but they've gone a little more artistic. There's some parts in here that get a kind of, like I said, artistic or creepy, and they love to mix in, even though it's slow, sludgy, heavy metal. There's these cool little, I call them panic notes, where the guitars just do these little chirps, these little burps, you know, and it just really brings to it. But the packaging is also amazing. Not just this jacket, which, let me grab something else just to show you. It's like a 1/2 inch taller. It's randomly a really oversized jacket. It's really thick too. And they did this nice, I think it's called spot gloss printing. Is it embossed? No, I don't think so. But it has this really cool like embossing on it where it's like glazed looking in the print. Really nice thick jacket, gatefold. What's really cool though is the vinyl. They did 700 copies of this version. It's like an indie retail exclusive neon orange and white splatter mix vinyl. Even the inner sleeve's a nice thick inner sleeve for the Acacia strain. I saved the little sticker that was on the sleeve. I'm a geek like that. If there's a sticker on a record, I try to peel it off and save it because the band name does not appear on the front. But that is up on our website too. Lauren's going to post a link to it. There's only a couple left though, so jump on it if you want to get it. They're already working on their next release, I think. This is a wild one from Wiz Khalifa, Kush OJ. He's likes to rap a lot about the weed, and you can tell by the way this packaging, it comes in a Ziploc bag, first of all. But to go with the OJ theme, I've never seen anything quite like this. It actually pops up and looks like a little OJ container from like when you were in school or at a hotel or something like that. So this is the 10th anniversary of his album. He's like slower OG rapper, you know. It's got a, I would say, obviously he's mixed in with some of the newer trap artists and stuff like that, but this would definitely give me a little throwback. I'm sure he had to be influenced by Snoop and some of those guys, but this is that kind of splattery green black vinyl. It's a double LP, but I love the theme, the Kush and the OJ, with the OJ packaging and the Ziploc bag. That's a very limited one too. That's up on our site. Like I said, every week we're trying to keep up. There's so many limited releases coming out from big labels and small labels. Not only is it new artists, but sometimes reissues of old things. I don't know if this might have come out on vinyl, but like 10 years ago, vinyl was still not happening as much. So it's quite rare. So luckily they're doing like a lot of anniversary reissues. Speaking of reissues, here's another one. Like we talked about some new one, an anniversary reissue. This is just an old school classic. The Cramps, Bad Music for Bad People, 1984. What's that record store we went to in Omaha? Or Nebraska? Oh, hold on a minute. Oh yeah, Drastic Plastic. Thanks. Yes. So Drastic Plastic Records, really cool. They have a shop too. They do a lot of t-shirts actually and other gifts and items, but they are doing some reissues. They have a small record label too. They're doing a lot of classic punk reissues. This is from them. Really nice. Not a super great, you know, the packaging. This is about the original artwork and the vinyl. Just owning a piece of great music. Nothing crazy over the top. It's not thick vinyl, color vinyl, but it's a great price, which I agree. Kind of like talk about the Knob Creek and stuff like that. It's a nice price. It's a classic album. If you don't know the Cramps, you should, but they're kind of swampabilly, rockabilly, punk, weird, odd, like very like horror movie themed almost, like really distorted and wild and crazy. They're a lot of fun though. But it's cool to see these classics that are still getting reissued and available on vinyl for affordable prices. We have that up on our site too at cultureshockshop.com. Thanks to the folks over at Drastic Plastic. If you're ever in Nebraska, stop by and check out their shop, of course. But we carry some of their other releases too on vinyl here at the store. Speaking of the Cramps, I have to go with something else that just came out. This is a really oddball thing too. It's a double LP compilation called Back to Crampsville. Crate digging in the basement with Lux and Ivy of the Cramps. This is a 2-record set. I guess it's 1 red, 1 white record. I believe it's an import that just came out. I think it was released on CD before, but these are actually stuff that these guys from the Cramps dug up back in the day. Lots of 45s and singles, a really rare, obscure, oddball tunes, a lot of like rockabilly, early oddball garage music, and pre-punk, obviously. This is a lot of 50s and 60s stuff. It's got a mixed amount of like stuff that we would call like, not parody music, but kind of almost like borderline just oddball stuff. Some instrumentals even. But it's really cool that there's 38 tracks on here of some really rare and odd stuff that you might never find if you were out digging. So it's a really cool compilation that they put together, and I appreciate that. Gives you a little bit of insight as to the craziness that inspired the Cramps too. Just the track listing. Again, nothing great for the packaging. It's got great artwork, but this is about the content of all these songs that are on here. My final one is kind of a holy grail. This is one from my personal collection now. All this stuff, like I said, is available here at the store, but I'm trying to feature some holy grails or rare items. We've been playing a lot of records at home, you know, during this quarantine and stuff too, but this is just such an odd piece too. From Del Shannon, this is The Further Adventures of Charles Westover. It's quite a rare record, actually. I forgot, I think it's 68, probably right in the prime of the psychedelic era there. Del Shannon was kind of, I don't know, more rockabilly or pop. You probably know the song Runaway, My Run, 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 Runaway. If you know that song, that's this guy. Years before he had written that song, was a huge pop star because of that. Well, he's on, Liberty Records, and he got this experimental album, and this has never even been put onto CD. It's not even streaming. It's hard to find. And it's borderline rare psych, because it's psychedelic in the way of like maybe Beatles and Beach Boys. It's got a little bit of that pop crossover, but it's got some really weird distortion and guitars. Not sure who the people playing all the instruments were. There might have been some studio musicians, but you can tell it's a little trippy just by the artwork. Here he is on the back. What's really special about this piece is it's a mono copy, so they were still doing stereo and mono versions. But this was never available. It's still got the original inner sleeve to stores. This was just a promo for radio stations. It's in like mint condition, even though the jacket's a little rough. You can tell it's been around the block because the seams are split. It's got a $10 sticker price tag here on the back. And then I think there was like $1 or something written on here in tape. Someone ripped it up. But it's survived. It's a roughly $100 piece, let's say. And they can go as high as $150. But I'm doing a real special vinyl DJ set here in a little bit to celebrate our vinyl happy hour. So just refresh the page or check back in a minute. I'm going to play a track from this so you can kind of hear it. Like I said, talking about it, showing it off is one thing, but hearing music's what it's about. We usually do some vinyl sets at different bars and other places around town, so we're going to do a little in-store set here tonight. But I hope you keep watching our vinyl happy hours every Thursday night. Send us your comments and messages. I'd love to hear what you're listening to, what you're drinking. Of course, if you've got questions on the website or records you're looking for, just shout out to us. We'll try to get to you what we can.
So you're going to play a DJ set?
I am.